Welcome to Brewsers, a podcast about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. I am your host, Rody John, and today we speak to the ruthless Elle Dawson. We talk about how she got into MMA, moving to Florida from Missouri, and what the future holds for her. Such a fun conversation with Elle. We get into so much in this, and you'll find out. But also, if you want to find out even more about Elle, make sure to sign up for our newsletter. It comes out every Tuesday and Thursday with the show, and also you get to find fun facts about what's going on with your favorite podcast, all about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. So without further ado, here is Elle Dawson. I would like to welcome to the show the ruthless Elle Dawson. How are you doing today, ma'am?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. So,
thanks for having me.
Where are you? Thanks for being on the show. Where are you at right now currently?
I'm at home. We live in the Pompano Beach area of South Florida, training in Coconut Creek at American Top Team.
That's right. I was going to get into that in a little bit. So, you are originally from Missouri. How is it now living in Florida?
Oh, we absolutely love Florida. There's no winter. It's great. I do not miss the Missouri winters. The day we moved, I flew down here Valentine's Day of 2020. That was the day we officially moved to Florida. I remember I got to the airport in Missouri. It was 11 degrees outside. And I landed in Florida. I'm like, I'm never leaving. We love it here. We love the weather. We love the politics. We love Florida down here.
Yeah, just throw away all your winter clothes because you'll never need them again.
Yeah, we have a big old bin of all the coats and stuff. We pull them out when we're going to, because Grant's family lives in Nebraska, so same weather as Missouri.
Oh, wow.
Anytime we go back for a holiday or we go to see my family, yep, all right, dig out the winter coats and the long underwear. Yep.
You just hope you still fit in them. So, what is it? Or I guess what do you miss about Missouri?
Fall in Missouri is really beautiful. I love getting to see the leaves change colors, and you kind of have that really nice weather. You get it kind of in Florida when there's a really rainy week, and it's when it's done raining, it's it rained enough that it's cooled down everything, but it's not. Right. It's more muggy. You don't get that nice crisp fall air. I think that's That's about it. That's about it. People are also super nice in the Midwest. Driving in the Midwest, people are very polite. It's a lot easier to change lanes. And, if you need to get over, people are a little more polite on the roads. It's a little crazier here for sure.
Yeah. I'm here in North Texas, and we are very known for being quite aggressive when it comes to driving. So I imagine it's probably the same way down in Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, all the New Yorkers migrated south, so.
They're the worst. But no, I have family up in Arkansas, so I know what you're talking about with the fall, and it's just so beautiful. It's literally those postcards or, screensavers that you see of literally every color from yellow to orange to dark red that is in the trees and on the ground, and you're like, man, people live this way. This is amazing. And then you go to Florida and you're like, oh, never mind. There's no seasons. And in Texas, it's the same way. It's cold, hot. We get maybe a week of, it's really pretty out. And then all the leaves fall because then it's hot and it's the best situation.
Yeah. No, for sure. We definitely miss that little snippet. It's not a very long season in Missouri, but it is beautiful.
Right. Now, what is your earliest memory of martial arts?
So I actually did not grow up in martial arts at all. I had no background in wrestling, any other traditional martial arts. I grew up hitting the bag at the YMCA and ignoring how much I liked it for other sports. So I grew up, I played soccer, I played ice hockey, I did all-star cheerleading and gymnastics for a while. And I never stuck with anything very long, to be honest. I always would get I told myself I was getting bored of it and I'd try something else, but I think what it really was is I never found something I really wanted to work that hard at. So if it was time for me to get better than like slightly above average, I was like, I'll just try something else now, you know? And, I really got into the bodybuilding world, after college. And I went out to the the Olympia show in Las Vegas, which is really, really cool experience if you've never been. Like there's literally super famous athletes everywhere, all over. Like if you go to, people will just go out to the gyms in the area and work out because everybody's there, you know? And you just get to walk up and say hi and talk to them. So it was a really, really neat experience. But I was hitting the bag at City Athletic Boxing in Las Vegas, just, you know, getting a workout in. And some, like, random dude came up and was like, hey, like, I'll hold pads for you. And he held pads for me for a little bit, which I'd never done before, which was super, super fun, you know. And we got done, and I was like, oh, thanks. And the guy at the front desk comes up to me, and he was like, hey, you know you just hit pads with Floyd Mayweather Sr., right? And I was like, oh, no, that's who that is? And so I started talking to him, and I talked to his manager that was there with him, very nice people, and they invited me to come out and train at the Mayweather Club for a week. So I went home after the Olympia, you know, found a cheap flight, came out, and I stayed with one of their female boxers for a week. Her name's Kylie Fulmer, Australian girl, very, very talented boxer. And I just trained with her, and Floyd Sr. held pads for me every day for a straight week. It was such a cool experience. And, you know, I'd never even considered combat sports as an option for me, especially like at a competitive level. I was like, so I came back to Missouri with hopes that I was going to start boxing. Didn't really find a whole lot of boxing gyms in the area, but there were boxing coaches at MMA gyms. So I looked for one of those and then started, you know, working with somebody there and just started watching jiu-jitsu. Looked really cool, tried one class, and it was over. 3 months later, I did a jiu-jitsu tournament. 3 months after that, I had my first amateur fight.
Jeez. So you've always been just really athletic in general. So it's just the universe had to have you learn other skills so that when you finally did come to MMA, you were just more honed in and you already had the athleticism as it is.
I have a theory about that. So I definitely had some athletic ability. I was never a super athlete. I always was like, I was good. I was decent, you know. I was always average at every sport that I tried. But I was by no means athletic phenom. But what I kind of think happened is I think I was genuinely supposed to find MMA a lot sooner. Like I really do. I think I ignored my past for a hot second because I had opportunities to wrestle, you know, and I wish I would have. Like, yeah, sure. I guess learning how to train hard for soccer has some benefit, but can you imagine if I had started wrestling when I was 10, how much better of a fighter I would be now than playing other sports? And I think, you know, I always like loved hitting the bag. I always loved watching the sport, and I never like really, I guess it wasn't really popular near where I was at. And it wasn't cool, which is so weird to me because I think it's the coolest sport in the world now. You know, like after fighting, everything else is boring. Everything. Like, football is so dumb. Basketball is boring. Like, I can't imagine watching any other sport after experiencing like the blood sport, you know? And so it just never, I don't know why it never clicked for me. I never asked my parents to enroll me in a martial art. I never looked at boxing. There were great jiu-jitsu gyms in the area, you know, for a smaller Missouri town. Like we had some really good opportunities there because I ended up starting training at those gyms and did well, you know. So it's I'm pretty strong in my faith, and I think that God gives us paths, you know, and I think sometimes we choose to follow those paths, and that's when we are at our happiest, and that's when life seems to be going the best. And when we make the wrong choices, I think that that's when more hardships tend to come our way. So I just think it's an interesting. I think the world is a very interesting place, and there's a lot of different paths we can take.
It's very true. Well, I mean, you also got to think: was there a female wrestling class when you were younger. I mean, that I don't think was as prominent back then. Obviously, it's becoming far more prominent. We're seeing more of a showcase when it comes to the collegiate level. But I don't think back then was there really even a wrestling class for women.
Not at my high school. So actually, my high school has a women's wrestling team now, which I'm very thrilled about. And I follow their booster club and on Facebook, and I got the amazing opportunity to sponsor a couple of athletes to go compete at Fargo from that girls team at my own high school just a year or so ago, which was great. And I would love to keep being able to support those kids, because I didn't know there really wasn't a lot of opportunity. I still could have wrestled. I was good friends with a lot of the guys on the wrestling team at my high school, and they didn't have a lot of small guys. So the coach asked me oh, you could wrestle in a lower weight class, you'd wrestle boys mostly. But there were some girls who did, they did compete against the boys, and I didn't have much interest in that as a girl in high school. I wanted to be a cheerleader and I wanted to look cute. And man, if I had known, if I could go back and tell myself anything at the age of 8 to 10, it would absolutely be you start wrestling now. Cause as soon as I found grappling, that opened the world to me. I think if I had experienced it younger, when I had, loved hitting the bag at the YMCA, if I had found that grappling piece then, I think it would have been over for me. I would have found it a lot earlier, because that's what clicked. That's always been my love.
What do you think it is about grappling that really kind of turned that light switch on for you?
It's linear. So it makes sense. It's so, I love that I know exactly what I'm going to do based on what you do. So if I have your back and you defend in one way, I have three options, Striking is this huge, crazy spider web that I have only barely started to understand. If you look at striking, if you jab at me, there's 472 different things I can do, and it's so hard for me to pinpoint a path to victory through that because there's a vastly more options there, and there's an infinite way to put those pieces together. While for me with grappling, I can kind of work backwards. Okay, the best way for me to win a fight 100% is for me to be on the back. So how do I get to the back? And for grappling, there's a very clear roadmap for how I get to the back based on what my opponent does. Obviously, I'm eventually going to hit somebody who does something I've never seen before. But at the end of the day, there's still 3 to 5 ways that I can combat that specific skill,
Right. That's amazing that you're seeing it that way too, because you're right. Striking, is very much like that spiderweb situation where, again, you can, especially when it comes to fakes and, even with jabs or, combinations or whatever. But like you said, if you are, on your back or trying to take somebody's back, there's not a lot of other options. You're only going really a couple of ways. Plus, everybody's the same size on the ground. So
I don't know about that. But
well,
I guess length-wise, matters a lot less when we're on the ground. I agree.
Yeah, mass-wise is a completely different situation.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Now, you moved to America Top Team last year. What's been the first year at a new camp been like for you?
Oh, amazing. I think that it's real easy to assume that these bigger gyms, you aren't going to get attention and you aren't going to, people aren't going to care about you. You're going to get banged up. But I've had an amazing experience at ATT. I think that one thing that they do so much better than anywhere else in the world is the amount of different coaches that they have. And they're all super high level, but they're available for you to figure out who you work with best. Who's going to fit your style, who fits your coaching style, because that coach athlete relationship on an emotional